How to Play the Euphonium Part 7. We're going to go over some fingering charts and some notes, and then we're going to play some stuff. So we're going to get right to it. If you'll turn to page 46, you'll see on that page it says Baritone BC fingering chart. BC stands for bass clef. That's the book we're using, is the Baritone Bass Clef, Book 1, Accent on Achievement. And on this page it shows a picture of a baritone. There's lots of different baritones and euphoniums made in different ways. This is a bell forward baritone out of this picture. Some of them, the bells are up, but they all work the same. So in this case, it has 3 fingers, where some, like the euphoniums at our school, have 4 buttons. We can talk about that later. You'll just use this fingering chart for now and use these fingerings as they're listed, unless we talk about it differently in class. So the first button is usually the one closest to the mouthpiece, okay? And that's your first valve. And then the next one would be second valve and third valve. On page 37, this is some of the notes we're going to be learning right away. This first one is a D. On these fingering charts, you'll notice that it has the name of the note, which is a letter, in this case of the D, and then you'll see it shows you where it's at on the staff. The D is on the 3rd line, so whenever there's a note on this 3rd line, it's going to be this D for now. And then below that, it shows you some numbers. In this case, there's a 1 and a 2. Okay, and that means that you're going to use your first valve and your second valve at the same time to play that D. So first and second. Okay, and then we're going to learn this E flat. And this E flat has a little flat in front of it, meaning it's lowered a half step from this E. So this is E flat. And it's going to be first valve. So the E flat, it's on the 3rd space, first valve. Okay, and then we're going to learn this F. And then it has the name of the F right here. It's on the 4th line, like we talked about earlier with the F clef. It's the F on the 4th line. And then there's a 0, and 0 means that you're not going to push any buttons, any valves. You're just going to, it's what we call playing it open. So you can think of it as an O for open or a 0. So turn to page 6 in your book, and that's where we're going to start looking at some of these notes. If you look on the top of the page on page 6, you see that yellow box that we've talked about. It has those 3 notes we just talked about on the fingering chart. So you can use that fingering chart, page 46 and 47, as a reference. You can turn there to look and find the notes. But also, as of right now, on all of page 6 and all of page 7, we're going to use the notes, just those 3 notes that are right there on page 6. So they're right there for you. Don't write in fingerings on the notes on the exercises. If you forget how to play a note, just look to that box for now. And just work real hard to memorize those 3 notes, okay? So the first exercise, exercise number 1 on page 6, has a couple little new things. One of those is the note, the D, which we already learned how to play. 1 and 2 on the slide, so on fingering. So these first valve and second valve, okay, both together at the same time. And then it shows you where it's at on the staff. It's on that 4th line. And then it has a whole note. A whole note it shows you on that page there, so make sure you look at that. And a whole note gets 4 counts in 4/4 time. So if this were the tempo, all right, then it would go ta. So in my head, I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, so that I know how many counts to hold it for. You got to think and count it in your head. Okay, so that's a whole note. 4 counts, 4 beats. And there's also on exercise number 1 a whole rest. And so if a whole note is playing 4 counts of sound, a whole rest is going to be 4 counts of silence. So you play the note for 4 counts on exercise 1, and then right after there's a whole rest. That means you're going to play silence for 4 counts. Okay? So let's try it. First, let's try the D. Push your 1 and 2 down. Form your embouchure like we talked about. Make sure you remember you're starting the note with right, and buzzing. And then let's try to play that note. Okay, now if you started like this, right, all you gotta do is just tighten those lips up a little bit until it gets up to that next pitch. Okay? So that's the note we're looking for. If you started too high, maybe you played it like this. All you gotta do is loosen your lips until you get to the right pitch. Okay? So let's try number 1. Now I'm gonna turn and face my music here. and you should face your music and always look at the note as you're playing it and the rest as you're playing it, so you know where we're at and you know what you're supposed to play. Okay, here we go. Exercise number 1. 1, 2, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and that's the end because there's a double bar there. Okay, so I followed along. I knew where I was at in the music, and I was playing those notes. Okay, next we're going to play the E flat on exercise number 2. Okay, now the E flat, you're going to play first valve, just your first valve. Now hopefully you noticed that as I played, I pushed it down before I played. Right, I'm not going to push it and play at the same time. It's kind of hard to line that all up together when you do that. So before I play, I'm going to push my, in this case, exercise number 2, first valve for E flat. I'm going to push it down, and then I'm going to get set, and I'm going to get ready to go, and then I'm going to play. And I'm just going to keep that first valve down because there's no other notes. Okay? So look at your notes. There's a different number of notes on number 2 than there was on number 1, so you got to follow along. Let's play number 2. Ready? Oh, let's find that note first. Here's the E flat. That wouldn't be too low, right? If you're playing that low note, you got to tighten your lips and get up to that E flat, okay? Here we go, number 2. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the end because there's only 3 notes and 3 rests, not 4 on number 2, right? Number 3 uses both of those notes, the D and the E flat. So you got to look at your note, know which one it is. Starts on the D, then it goes to the E flat. So 1 and 2 and then 1. Okay, let's try it. Number 3. 1, 2, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, switch back to the D. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and that's the end. Now, when you're playing, you're just going to keep it on your mouth the whole time. I'm taking it off just so that I can count and help you with the rest. But keep it on there. And then in between those rests, switch those fingers. So we started on the D, 2, 3, 4, and then in the rest, you're going to switch, get ready for the E flat, and then go and play, okay? So that's how it goes. Number 4 says watch those rests, and it's the last note we learned, the F. So I'll open, and says watch those rests because the rhythm is different again. So you got to make sure you're following along. Let's try number 4. Here's that F. So you have D, E flat, F. Let's play number 4. 1, 2, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another rest. 2, 3, 4. So you got to be following those notes and rest and know where we're at so you don't play the wrong thing. Number 5 is going to use all 3 notes now, putting them all together. Let's try it. Starts with your D, then a rest, then your E flat, then a rest, then your F, then a rest, and so forth back down to your E flat and then the D. Okay? So let's follow along. Make sure you're following along with me. Here we go. Number 5. 1, 2, here we go. 1, 2, switch your fingers to the E flat. first, 2 to the F. Here we go. 1, 2, going back to the E flat. And 1, 2, back to the D. Here we go. Okay, so it's all 3 notes in one exercise. Now we're going to number 6. Let's going to do something different again. You've got 2 notes, one right after the other, no rest in between them. Now you already know how to do that. We've practiced that thing, and we've played notes like that. The only difference is we just hold it for 4 counts before we do it again, right? So we'd go. Okay, didn't stop blowing air. I blew air for 8 counts. Just interrupted, like that water in my hand, my air in my tongue, right? I just interrupted it in between, in the right spot, and created a new note. Okay, so let's try number 6. Here we go. 1, 2, here we go. 1, 2 to the E flat. Go. 1, 2 to the D and go. Okay. So practice all of those things. If there's something I missed and forgot to say, could have happened. This is like my 70th video, I'm not sure. So if I forgot something and you're not getting something, ask me a question in those ways I've talked about in the other videos. Or see me in class and we'll help you out with it. And make sure you're following along. And if there's anything in there in that page 6 that you didn't quite get, go back and practice it. You can practice it with me on the video, or you can practice it on your own, or both. Just make sure you're working on that. Our next video is our last. We're going to our 8th video next, and it's our last one for this series. So join me on that one, and we'll finish up the beginning parts of how to play the euphonium. So we'll see you then.